I wonder how many of those people have driven a 1,000 horsepower car sideways. It is amazing. You're trying to drive a car that wants to go straight sideways. It's going so fast, you feel like the whole chassis wants to twist into a ball and wants to kill you. It's amazing.
The man, the myth, the legend. Rookie of the year. Beautiful face. Lovely car. Every time I see him, I just want to give him a big hug. We're with Mike Power. Mike, we're not adding the 3 letters at the end. I was so close to saying Michael. There, I said it. How are you? How are things going, man?
I'm doing good, man. It's another day in the life.
Okay.
Down here in Orlando, sweating bullets.
You know, I was spending some time trying to learn about the people of the past, Mike Power's history, see if I could snuff up some old Halo 2 videos, like maybe some montages on YouTube or something. But there's not a whole lot out there. Why are you here? How'd you even get into this?
It's so crazy because at times I feel like I shouldn't be under the radar, but I am under the radar. And I don't know how I feel about it yet, just because I'm not in drifting to be a celebrity at all. For me, being able to stand out for any reason is for, you know, supporting the people who support me and getting their name out there as well and showing them support. So it's kind of weird being under the radar, but I kind of like it because when we go to like car meets and stuff, no one runs up on me. I can kind of go anywhere I want and no one's like, hey, Mike Power. But when it does happen, I'm always so stoked.
It does feel good, right?
I was literally at a mall in California, like a place that I don't frequent. I live there now, but like was just there, just doing some shopping. Some dude literally was like, no way. And I like literally stopped and I'm like, he's staring at me, pointing at me. I was like, what's up? He's like, Mike Power. I was like, no. I was like, you know who I am? He's like, yeah, that's so crazy.
So tell me a little bit about, like, you woke up one day and you were just in FD, or like, how did it start? Because I was going through the old Mike Power's YouTube. All right, you wanna know what I came across? 2 years ago, you jumping on a bicycle, going back into the biking arena with the helmet on, you're trying to do kick flips and ollies, and that's skateboarding, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, to be honest with you, this is not something you just wake up and do. Like, you don't just show up at FD and do FD.
Yeah.
It's not a thing. I got my start in action sports when I was younger. I raced go-karts for a little bit, oval track stuff with my family, and that was super fun. But then I wanted to, you know, I was growing up, made a bunch of friends who like skateboarded, rode bikes, and that's what I did. I rode BMX bikes for a while, and I took that seriously too. It wasn't up until I actually broke my hand riding bikes that I was hanging out with my buddy Connor. We're still good friends today, and he was really into JDM cars. And like, I always liked cars, I just didn't really know much about them. And he showed me like 240s and RX-7s. And he was like, yeah, he's like, drifting super sick, and like they do it in Japan and they do it out here. We need to go to an event. So he brought me to my first ever drift event at Club Loose. And once I saw that in front of me, I was like, oh no, like I need to do this. I instantly started looking for a car right away, and I bought my first 240. It took like 2 years to build it, and then I started drifting.
When did you start drifting then?
So I started drifting in 2016. I don't know how many
7 years, baby. I did the math.
Yeah.
You got to put the numbers on top of each other and
I can't
subtract.
math that.
So 7 years ago, you started drifting.
Yeah.
And where did you start really like getting into like the semi-pro stuff? Was that back in New York, or where'd you come from?
So I spent my whole like grassroots drifting life in New Jersey at Club Loose. You know, a really good way to get into drifting in a whole. It's just so good out there. But, you know, I did it for a couple years for fun, and then I was like, you know, it might be fun to do a competitive competition. And I looked into it. We decided to just go balls to the walls crazy on my S13 and basically turn it into like a pro spec car. And we did that, and it was kind of a hassle. I didn't drive that great in my first competition, but yeah, after that I was kind of bit by the bug. The fact that, you know, I could still enjoy what I love about drifting and still be competitive about it and push myself to get to new heights, I think that was mainly what got me hooked. And then yeah, after that, the only place you can go with there is trying to make it into FD.
Yeah, so I would say like there seems to be like, I almost want to say 2 groups in FD right now. You've got like the grandfathers, the people that have been in it like almost the whole time. And then you've had people that have been in it for 20 years, maybe stepped away for a couple years, or they're international and they come back. And then you do have some of the new people that are like, they're almost like second generation, right? And there's so much to this sport. What's like the biggest, in your opinion, what's the biggest gap between new people coming in now versus how people used to come in maybe even 6 years ago when you started really getting into it?
I think the driving and the cars are way more advanced now than back then. Because you have, let's say, like, I don't want to say like the old heads, but like the OGs in the sport, you know, they shaped this sport, and they started with cars that, you know, you would see at a regular grassroots event, and they were competing at a pro level with that. That used to be okay. Now you're not good unless you're pushing sub 1,000 horsepower, you know, or around 800 at least. And I think that's the main disconnect, is that like a lot of things between back then and now is it's just harder to get it, and it's harder to be competitive because you're going up against those guys who shape the sport, the best in the world.
So you have I like almost historically the shittiest luck of like first round battles, because like every single time it was Mike Power against like Chelsea DeNofa, Mike Power against Ryan Turk, Mike Power, literally like every single time it was like, okay, I guess I'll just go up against one of the OGs. Thank you so much.
Well, to be honest with you, I really don't hate that. I like it just because that's the reason why I'm here. The reason why I'm here is to learn from these guys that have been doing it forever, learn how to compete against them, and just get better as a driver. So if I can't learn how to compete against these guys that have been doing it for so long, then why am I here?
So like, if you were to get out of drifting, is there another sport you'd want to jump into?
I think I would just want to stay in racing. I don't plan on ever getting out of drifting. I said it when I won Irwindale in 2020. I'm gonna drive a car until I can't drive no more. But yeah, I would probably either get into like grip driving. I dabbled a little bit with that and found it really fun. But I think if I really had to pick, like if someone was like, you have to pick a form of racing getting into it tomorrow, I'd probably pick off-road, like short course racing. Yeah. Wheel to wheel, like hitting jumps in the dirt. Just seems really fun.
That'd be an absolute blast. I mean, when you look at that, all the different types of motorsport. I was talking to James Dean, talked about how his dad was like into rally, and then he got into drifting, and then you kind of hear some of these other people that are like, yeah, my family got me into like go-kart racing and things like that. So it's cool to see. Now, most of the FD drivers, I'm running into this joke online where it's like most of the FormulaDrift guys, like they have, you know, families, they have kids, and their kids are like 9-10 years old now, and like they're getting into the sport. And then I go online and I start watching live streams, and there's all these kids that are like, when I turn 16, I'm getting into drifting, and the sport is finally turning like an official second generation sport almost. You know what I mean? What do you think, like, if you could tell the kids one thing, like if they wanted to get into the sport, what would it be?
Go for it. I would say if you have no experience, go to a local track like I did. Find a club that's hosting drift events for fun. Go out there and make friends. Set up a really simple car. Go have a blast. You have to love drifting to come here and do this. Because there's going to be times where you hate drifting because of FD, because of the type of stuff that you have to go through to be able to be here. So make sure you love drifting before you get into anything like this.
I would say, and not trying to like throw shade or anything like that. It's obviously a growing sport. It's growing very fast. FormulaDrift is like, I mean, man, they're going through a lot. They're changing a lot. They're trying to do a lot. I mean, it sounds like they were going to change the course for Orlando and stuff like that. I mean, when that sort of stuff happens that does maybe like grind your gears, how do you get through it? Put up with it, or do you like start throwing chanclas? Like, how does it?
No, it's like 50-50. It's like part putting up with it and then part just voicing your opinion. You know, FD, you know, offers us the chance to talk to them about stuff, give them feedback about what's going on and how we feel about what they're doing. And I think that's a great thing for the sport. So, you know, sometimes you just have to bite the bullet and, you know, be cranky about something, but essentially you just get over it. Or if it's that big of a problem with FD, you know, they'll decide to make some changes because they do care about the drivers and they really do care about the sport.
If you had to get rid of your S chassis, right, and you had to pick up a different drift car, what would you buy? Don't say S15.
No, I really like the Corvettes.
Big domestic guy over here, big Chevy guy.
Yeah, I had a C6 for a little while, and the chassis itself drives really similar to an S chassis. And to be honest, like, we're in America. If I had to use a V8 or something like that, I really wouldn't be opposed to it. I think they're great engines and they work really well. Obviously, they're proving themselves every day here that we compete. So yeah, I feel like that wouldn't be too bad to get into.
So you started on S chassis, you've stayed in S chassis, drifted for 6-7 years, you're saying now? So when did you start drifting? What was your age?
I don't even know. I think I was like 19, 20.
So you started drifting when you were 20? You ever get in trouble for racing on the streets?
No, I was always like kind of a wimp and never really wanted to like break the laws. honest, my dad's really scary.
I could see it. I could see that. Yep, I could definitely see it. See, here's the thing for me. I went and I did one drift day, and then I started looking at every single corner like I was Mike Power. You know, I was like, I could drift that. I could do it. And then I'm like, no, Alex, you can't do it. So then I went around a roundabout a little too quick. And then my little jack stand that was in the back, my jack, ran into the side of the car on the inside of the trunk and then dented it. It was really awesome. So I learned my lesson very quickly. All right, the live stream comments, when they all get upset, they're like, oh, FD USA, it's just about power and smoke. It's not about style. What do you say to that?
I think they just don't take enough time to pay attention to what we're really doing here. Yeah, I understand it. It is kind of unfortunate that to be able to compete at this level, you have to have that high horsepower and like smoke, and you're driving these like basically muscle cars to drift them sideways. So I understand both sides, but also I wonder how many of those people have driven a 1,000 horsepower car sideways. It is amazing. You're trying to drive a car that wants to go straight sideways, and it's going so fast, you feel like the whole chassis wants to twist into a ball and wants to kill you. It's amazing. So
wait a minute. What would you say is the next generation, the next car that you think is going to be like the most popular grassroots drift car?
You know, the Zs are doing really well right now. I feel like BMW's also making a huge case for that. And yeah, actually, no, I think the BMWs are doing really well, but maybe that and the new 86s.
All right. Okay, and final question. What is Mike Power's official dream car of 2023?
Official dream car?
Yeah, like what's the one car you want to have? Like it doesn't have to be a drift car. You could be like, you know what I really want? A 2001 Porsche Boxer.
You know, I really just want a piece of crap seat time car so I can go drive and have fun.
You said a seat time car?
Yeah, like a bare bones, normal, low budget build to go drifting in. That's what I want.
James Dean said a Porsche 930 Turbo. Mike Power, thank you so much. I appreciate you. All right, we'll see you later. Adios, goodbye.